Leon Ramakash, myself and Barry Clayman, we were in New York in March of '99, and that's the time when we sold our companies, EMA, Telstar, Mojo Concerts, and Barry's company to Silliman. And then a couple of months later, Silliman sold the whole thing to Clear Channel. And then 10.5 years ago, I was in London having a meeting with Michael, and that's when the sort of Live Nation thing started. I think the biggest change in business has been that the creation of Live Nation has meant that as an artist, you can go to one company, and today you can work with that company in 34 countries. So you have a Live Nation promoter in 34 countries. And that is actually quite an achievement, and it's very, very nice for the artists to know that they're going to have a certain level of support and a certain level of service, and they can be very relaxed about the touring situation because they know that they're going to be well taken care of. And of course that team is built up by promoters like myself, like Leon Ramakash, etc., Marek Lieberberg in Germany. I started my company when I was 18 years old in 1969, and at that time I had the opportunity to work with Jimi Hendrix, which was a big thing for me, and which is a big thing today as well. That was a big start. The other thing is, of course, ABBA, when we did all the touring in the world, and they were actually, as a touring group, they were active between '74 and 1980. And then I think when the stadium concerts came into our lives, which were 1982, we did the Rolling Stones in Gothenburg, and that was the first big stadium tour in the world, and they are the sort of 3 steps for me anyway. Of course, I was 24 years old, and you're playing to. We did the Australian tour. We played to an average of 60,000-70,000 people a night, and you're 24, 25 years old, of course. And we put it together, and together with Paul Dainty in Australia, and that was at that time there was really only the Stones, ABBA, Paul McCartney who did these type of concerts, stadium shows, So of course it was, and still it's mind-boggling when you look at it. Several moments like that. I don't particularly recall any extremely bad situations over the years. I mean, there have been very narrow situations when bands go on very late and audience leave the building, when people cancel the show when the people are in the building. We had a situation with Metallica recently when James went to a restaurant and have oysters, and he was taken to the hospital. He was food poisoned and really sick, And we had 14,000 people sitting in the building in Stockholm. And we had to go out on stage and tell the audience, you have to go home, James can't sing. And actually, they were very good. The other 3 members of Metallica went on stage and did that, so that was very good. But these are moments which are very tense, You have to be very, very dedicated. You have to sort of know exactly what you want to do, and that you have to follow your plan. You have to move straight ahead. No detours, just go straight ahead. That's what you have to do, and be determined to where you want to end up in the career. It's as much about people as it is about music. I think it's as much about understanding, politics, music, trends, fashion, film, literature. I think it all combines into what you do as a promoter. Because I don't think you can just be interested in music. I think you have to have that broad interest in society to succeed. When the punk movement came, you had to understand what that was. And that, a big part of it was actually made up. But it was made up because underlying there was what made punk big. Do you follow me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that is something that, when that came, a lot of people didn't see it happening. But if you followed carefully the movement in the society, you could see that happen, And I think the same with EDM. if you follow, that's a different type of music from what we do, or what I've done anyway. But you can again see that happening. It's a different type of entertainment from what we've done. Then you have to go to these shows and you have to look at it and you have to look at the audience. And I went to one of the EDM festivals we did last summer, and I really stood there for the whole day just to get why, what is so good with this, and why do 30,000 people enjoy this so much. And after that day I sort of understood, I didn't understand all of it, but I did understand a little bit more of it. There were people who helped or mentored me actually in the career. There's an American promoter that some of you might remember called Bill Graham. He helped me a lot in the career. There was a fellow Scandinavian promoter called Knut Thorbjørnsen, who was, he did the Rolling Stones European tours, he did Doors European tours, he did Hendrix European tours. So he actually helped me a lot in the way of thinking, you know. Not particular advice, but I think that Bill, when we did the first Stones show in '82, he actually wrote a little book and gave it to all our European promoters and told us what we should think about, how to treat the audience, how to take care of the audience, you know. Simple things like when people are queuing up to get into a stadium, you know, we had water, we had candy to give them, you know, we made sure they were looked after. And I think that way to look upon an audience and to cater for them and to look after them, I think that was an important thing for me. I think they're about now when I can see that the new generation of young promoters that have come to us as young people, and they are maturing like good wine, and they're coming on and they understand, and they understand what I just said. You know, they understand that we really have two very important parts in our lives, and that's the artist, of course, but also the audience. And if you cater so that meeting between the artist and the audience, because that's all we can do. We can only make sure that that meeting is as good as possible. And if the meeting is good, then we have done our job. And I think that most of the young promoters that I meet in my role in Europe or elsewhere in the world, I feel that they are coming on, and some of them actually get that, and the ones who get it, they're the ones who will succeed. When I started, we promoted all these jazz legends, you know, Duke Ellington, Ella Fitzgerald, Miles Davis, Count Basie, Roland Rushland Kirk, and they were also in their 70s, 75 when they stopped, 80 when they stopped touring. You know, so I don't think they'll be new. I would love to book Miles Davis again. I would love to see him again. He was a fabulous musician. And I would love to have Miles Davis perform together with U2. That would be a great concert.